Thank you very much. Dear participants, given the unique challenge presented to us by the pandemic, no topic is more urgent during Latvia's recovery as the crisis should solve also the question of the future of jobs and skills. Therefore, it is my honor to open this conference on the future of jobs. The COVID-19 pandemic has created severe tensions, not only in our healthcare system, but also on the economy and the job markets. Those working within the sectors of hospitality, tourism, culture, and aviation will feel more acutely than anyone. This crisis has created unprecedented impact on everyone, but especially lower paid workers who will continue to experience uncertainty in upcoming months. However, even before the pandemic, we lived in uncertain times. And the purpose of today's conference is to identify the trends and main reasons behind the uncertainty and what could be done, what could be the solutions. The shortage of skilled labor has been a growing problem for Latvia in the last decade, and this problem is faced by almost every sector of Latvian economy. For a small economy like ours, we have always needed all hands we can get. But in the past decade, the financial crisis, subsequent immigration wave, and the declining demographics have aggravated the situation. Reform in the educational system is essential to make sure that our homegrown talents remain competitive in the future. And I am pleased we are making progress in this area. I am also glad to note that Latvia has been very successful in creating an environment where women are given an equal chance to succeed in their career, especially in STEM fields, where Latvia is among the European Union states with the majority of scientists, engineers, researchers, and students are women. However, improving the quality of the educational system and the levels of citizens' participation in the economy is only one side of the solution for the future of jobs. In the recent years, all over the globe, the speed of technological innovation and development has become much more faster. The rate of automation in digitalization is accelerating also in Latvia. We are proud of our companies that are achieving great results in the export markets, but to continue their growth, they must recognize the value of human capital investment. According to the recent survey by the Foreign Investors Council in Latvia, the rise of unemployment because of the pandemic has not helped to address the labor shortages in some sectors, because the skills of the unemployed do not match with labor market needs. The Latvian companies should seize the opportunity and invest in the skills of their employees to continue experiencing growth in productivity and gaining competitive advantage. Latvian businesses should take a lead on the job training and provide opportunities to workers to upgrade their skills, especially in the post-pandemic recovery period. We urgently need to equip our citizens with skills that are necessary to prepare them for changes our economy will experience in the upcoming years. However, to change something, we first need to recognize that there is a need to change. The Latvian government must be more proactive and make a political priority to invest in the reskilling and upskilling programs for our population, going beyond vocational education and training. A massive investment in skills is needed to achieve the green and digital transformation in our economies. This is recognized across the European Union and should be recognized also in Latvia. The government should look at creating a standardized way towards mapping skills gaps in Latvia and helping the economy to fill in the shortages they experience now. Looking into the future and in the context of COVID-19, priority should be given to preventive work with people whose jobs are endangered by the introduction of new technologies and automation. To progress towards a more prosperous and inclusive society, we as individuals must also have smarter choices, and we must be prepared for lifelong learning. We must seek out opportunities to update our knowledge and learn new skills, and lifelong. There is a silver lining in pandemic because of the switching to remote work. The pandemic has contributed to the digitalization and automation of many processes we used to do in person. To work and to be in touch with our loved ones, we have advanced our skills in remote working technologies, whilst product and service providers had to advance their knowledge and use, for example, the e-commerce to reach their customers. When it comes to digitalization, we must not forget that it is changing and will change not only provisions of work, but also the relationship and communication between the state and service providers on the one hand and citizens on the other. The transfer from real and human communication to automated and digital must be designed in such a way that it does not diminish the existing rights and opportunities of citizens. Under no circumstances should digitalization create a new divide, a digital divide. For the society to benefit from digitalization, we must recognize that digital communication must meet certain standards, which may not be deviated from. The usual banal, meaningless formulas used in this connection, for example, user-friendly, fast and unbureaucratic, and so on, are not appropriate there. The new standards and conditions must consider, for example, that the user always has access to his entire file at once and can store it electronically on his local server and print it. Or the user has always a back button and can correct his text at any time, that he is automatically compensated for his private data if his private data is leaked, or the user can at any time switch to talking with a service provider and not only just with a chatbot, etc. Only this should be included in the standards of communication between the service providers and state on one hand, and the customers, the clients, the citizens on the other hand. In short, we must have a clear understanding about the kind of relationships we want to digitalize, as well as know the real costs and the real savings of digitalization for our society. At the heart of successful digitalization will be the talent able to carry out changes effectively. Accordingly to European Digital Economy and Society Index, people in Latvia have one of the lowest level of basic digital skills amongst the European Union countries. We need to change that, because in the modern age we have very complex problems to solve, like pandemics, income inequality, threats from disinformation, cybersecurity problems, and by far the most global of them is the climate change. Speaking further about remote working, I would like to point out that this is not only a question of working space and communication channels. That certainly calls for adaptation of skills, but that is not all. With expansion of remote work, the whole concept of work and its content, the place and the role of work in a person's life changes in the sociological sense. Let me remind that since ancient times, people have worked in order to earn a living, but the understanding of and the meaning and the content of work as we use it today is closely linked to the rise of industrial capitalism into our economies, beginning with the 18th and especially 19th century. Thanks to the workers' movements, trade unions, the situation of workers has continually improved. These days, it is regulated by labor laws. Modern labor laws that regulate working hours, vacation, relations with the employer, salaries, insurance, and many other work-related issues are regulated in the European Union on two levels, on the EU level and on national level. Labor laws form the legal framework for labor relations. However, they are rooted in the classical model of work: physical presence, full-time, with one employer. Of course, in recent years, given the change in the real situation, labor laws had to some extent become more flexible. However, they do not reflect sufficiently the situation of remote workers. Labor laws primarily protect workers against exploitation and protect their health. For example, what is the work schedule of an employee? How it is registered? Whether the employer is allowed to communicate with the employee outside the working hours, as well as insurance and many other specific issues. For remote work, there is no suitable regulation till now. So, as remote work becomes more widespread, the protection of employees must not decrease. The same applies to the self-employed or semi-independent workers. Their protection, especially against exploitation and self-exploitation, must be ensured. In this context, I will point out another problematic area regarding remote working. This is a question of living in one country, for example Latvia, and working remotely in another country, for example Germany, United Kingdom, or Singapore, and vice versa, of course. Such opportunities to work remotely have become much more real. Yet how do rules for labor protection applies in such situations? In particular, has the taxation system adapted to such a situation? I know personally of several cases where companies refuse to employ suitable candidates living abroad because they say it is too complicated from the legal taxation point of view. In any case, if we speak about the future of employment, qualifications, and skills, and we see that remote work can and will be increasingly widespread, we need to involve a wider circle in the discussion. Lawyers, government, parliaments, who ought to turn without delay to the development of regulations covering remote work, so that the legal framework for labor relations does not create unnecessary complications that slow down the economy. This applies both to the European Union and to the national legislator. I urge in particular Latvia's lawyers and lawmakers to be among the first in the European Union to find a satisfactory legal solution to these issues. That would be a good, achievable challenge for us. Today you will hear an impressive lineup of speakers, both local, Latvian and international. They are researchers, policymakers and practitioners who are in the forefront of the changing landscape of work. I sincerely hope that you will take away from today not only quality information and new ideas, but also become more inspired to be part of the changing future of Latvia. We live in times of reinvention and rapid change, but if anyone knows something about resilience and adapting to change, that is our people. We are able to contribute with our solutions. I wish you all a good conference and fruitful discussions. Thank you.